In the summer of 1947, something extraordinary happened in the outskirts of Roswell, New Mexico. A mysterious object crashed in a remote area, triggering one of the greatest enigmas of modern history. To this day, people wonder, did we really find evidence of extraterrestrial life? At that time, the United States was experiencing a climate of global tension caused by the Cold War. Anything out of the ordinary was observed with suspicion, especially when reports began to emerge about unusual metallic debris scattered across an isolated farm. The news gained prominence when the local newspaper, Roswell Daily Record, published a surprising headline, U.S. Air Force captures flying saucer. This statement caught national attention and fueled speculation about UFOs. However, the excitement was short-lived. A few hours later, the American Army released another version. The debris was nothing more than the remains of a weather balloon used to monitor Soviet nuclear explosions. But did this explanation convince everyone? For many people, the sudden change in the official narrative raised suspicions. Why did the government take so long to make a statement? And why do some witnesses claim to have seen objects and materials very different from what was described? Among the most intriguing accounts is that of William Brazel, a farmer who found the first fragments. He described light and flexible pieces, but incredibly resistant, made of materials that seemed unknown at the time. Other voices also emerged, including military personnel and civilians working near the Roswell base. Some mentioned strange bodies, while others spoke of bright objects that appeared to be of non-terrestrial origin. Over the decades, the Roswell case became legendary. Books, documentaries, and films explored the possibility that it was proof of alien visitors. The idea that the government is hiding information gained strength. Despite the official explanations, the public remains divided. While some accept the government's version, others remain convinced that something much bigger is being covered up. This debate transformed Roswell into a symbol of the search for answers. Annually, thousands of people visit the city to participate in the UFO festival, where they discuss theories and celebrate extraterrestrial culture. Regardless of the truth, the mystery of Roswell lives on. In 1994, the Pentagon released a detailed report on the incident, confirming that the debris was from a weather balloon. Even so, this did not silence the proponents of the alien theory. For them, there are inconsistencies in the official explanations. For example, why did so many witnesses mention bodies? And why does the government still keep some documents classified? Moreover, Roswell has become a meeting point for UFO enthusiasts. The International UFO Museum attracts visitors from all over the world, eager to learn more about the case. This mystery touches on profound questions. Are we alone in the universe? Does the government know more than it admits? These questions continue to fuel debates and investigations. When we talk about Roswell, it is impossible to ignore the accounts of the people who were directly involved in the case. Their stories are fundamental pieces for understanding the mystery and the speculations surrounding the incident. One of the first voices heard was that of William Brazel, the farmer who found the debris. He described metallic fragments as light as paper, but incredibly resistant to damage, characteristics that sparked curiosity. Other intriguing details emerged when witnesses mentioned strange symbols on the debris. These patterns appeared to be writings or drawings, but they did not correspond to any known language. Among the most impactful accounts are those that mention small and frail bodies, with large heads and huge eyes, descriptions that today we associate with the so-called gray aliens. Glenn Dennis, a local mortician, was one of those voices. He claimed to have been called to the Roswell military base to help identify special coffins needed to transport the alleged alien bodies. His testimony gained credibility due to his proximity to the case. However, not all stories agree with each other. Some witnesses insist that the debris was from a weather balloon, while others defend the hypothesis of an alien spacecraft. Many of these narratives were only revealed decades after the incident. During the Cold War, the fear of retaliation or political persecution may have silenced many people. It was in the 1980s and 1990s that the accounts began to emerge with more force. Among these late revelations, the testimonies of military personnel from the Roswell base stand out. They claim to have received superior orders to keep everything absolutely secret. For some, this was proof that the government knew more than it admitted. Another important name is Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer who was one of the first to examine the debris. Years later, he stated that the material was completely different from anything seen on Earth. According to him, it could not be human. Even so, the official explanation contradicts these accounts. The Pentagon insists that the debris was from a weather balloon used in Project Mogul, a secret initiative to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. This program really existed, and its balloons were made of unusual materials. Nevertheless, proponents of the alien theory point out gaps in the official explanation. For example, why did so many witnesses mention bodies? And why does the government refuse to release certain documents under the justification of national security? Another intriguing aspect is that some witnesses reported unusual activities at the Roswell base after the incident. They spoke of trucks transporting sealed boxes and planes taking off during the night, as if something was being hastily hidden. Over time, these stories became legendary. Books and documentaries explored every detail, from witness accounts to the possible motivations of the government to cover up the case. This transformed Roswell into a cultural phenomenon. For skeptics, these narratives are the result of exaggerations and misunderstandings. They suggest that human memory can be faulty, especially when decades pass between the event and the testimony. Additionally, some people may have invented stories to gain notoriety. Over the decades, the Roswell case attracted the attention of people determined to unravel its secrets. Journalists, scientists, and ufologists dedicated time and resources to investigate the events of 1947, each bringing their own perspective. In the 1970s, nuclear physicist Stanton T. Friedman began studying the case seriously. He interviewed several witnesses, including Jesse Marcel, and concluded that there was enough evidence to suggest that something extraterrestrial really crashed in Roswell. Friedman was one of the first to popularize the idea that the American government was hiding evidence of contact with aliens. His meticulous research helped transform Roswell from a local story into a global phenomenon. In the 1980s, the media began to take more interest in the case. Documentaries and TV shows shed new light on the incident, presenting unpublished testimonies and analyzing the contradictions in the official explanations. A significant milestone was the release of the book The Roswell Incident, written by Charles Berlitz and William L. Moore. Published in 1980, the book compiled witness accounts and presented a detailed theory about the crash of an alien spacecraft. The book had a huge impact, sparking public interest and leading others to seek more information. It was during this time that the Roswell case began to be associated with the idea of a government cover-up. In the early 1990s, the U.S. Congress finally decided to investigate the case. Under public pressure, the Pentagon published 2 official reports on the incident, known as the Roswell Report and Case Closed. Both stated that the debris was from a weather balloon from Project Mogul. Despite this, these reports did not convince many. Critics pointed out that the documents contained gaps, and that some questions remained unanswered. For example, why did so many witnesses mention bodies? And why does the government continue to deny access to certain files? Another notable investigation was conducted by the British TV network BBC in the 2000s. The team traveled to Roswell and interviewed experts, witnesses, and ufologists. The resulting documentary presented new evidence but also reinforced the divisions between believers and skeptics. Among the most controversial discoveries is the alleged existence of autopsies performed on alien bodies. In 1995, a mysterious video was released, showing what appeared to be an operation on an extraterrestrial cadaver. Although it was widely discredited as a hoax, the video further fueled fascination with the case. Additionally, rumors emerged that some debris had been sent to secret laboratories, such as Area 51, for analysis. These rumors gained strength when former government employees began talking about secret experiments involving alien technology. On the scientific side, some researchers tried to analyze fragments recovered by local farmers. However, most of these materials disappeared over the years, making any conclusive study difficult. Even with so many investigations, the Roswell case remains an enigma. For proponents of the alien theory, the evidence is strong enough to support the hypothesis that something unusual happened there. Skeptics, however, insist that everything can be explained as misunderstandings or exaggerations. Regardless of which side you choose to believe, it is undeniable that Roswell has become a symbol of the search for answers about extraterrestrial life. The case illustrates our desire to understand the unknown and question official narratives. Few cases in history have managed to capture the collective imagination like the Roswell incident. Over the decades, it has transformed into a cultural phenomenon, appearing in various forms of entertainment and shaping the way we view UFOs and aliens. One of the first visible influences was the growing popularity of the idea of gray aliens. These small beings with large heads and huge eyes became the stereotype of extraterrestrials in pop culture, largely thanks to the descriptions provided by Roswell witnesses. In cinema, the Roswell case served as the basis for numerous films exploring themes of alien invasions or close encounters. Movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, and Independence Day, 1996, reflect the public fascination with the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Especially in Independence Day, directed by Roland Emmerich, there are clear references to the Roswell incident. The plot suggests that alien technology recovered in 1947 was used for secret scientific advances by the American government. This resonates directly with the conspiracy theories about the case. On television, the legacy of Roswell is also evident. Series like The X-Files and Roswell, New Mexico place the mystery at the center of their narratives. In The X-Files, for example, episodes frequently mention government cover-ups, echoing the stories linked to the incident. Moreover, the series Roswell, New Mexico takes its name from the city and explores a fictional interpretation of the case. Although it is more focused on drama and romance, it maintains the spirit of mystery surrounding the object's crash in 1947. In comics and literature, the theme of Roswell also gained prominence. Books like The X-Files, Ground Zero, and graphic novels like Roswell, 1947 expand the universe of the incident, creating new layers of intrigue and speculation. Music was not left out either. Bands like Foo Fighters and Blink-182 mention UFOs and aliens in their lyrics, often making veiled references to the Roswell case. These songs further reinforce the presence of the mystery in contemporary culture. Another interesting aspect is the tourism generated by the legend of Roswell. The city has become a destination for UFO enthusiasts who visit museums, themed shops, and participate in the annual UFO festival. This event attracts thousands of people every year, solidifying Roswell as a cultural icon. The International UFO Museum, located in the city itself, is another example of the impact of the case. It displays replicas of spacecraft, photos, and relics related to the incident, in addition to promoting discussions about the UFO phenomenon. Even fashion was influenced by the case. T-shirts, caps, and accessories with images of flying saucers and aliens became popular, especially among science fiction fans and those curious about the unknown. On the internet, the Roswell case gained new life with videos, memes, and forums dedicated to discussing conspiracy theories. Platforms like Reddit and YouTube are full of content related to the incident, proving that it remains relevant in the 21st century. Even after more than 70 years, the mystery of Roswell continues to be a recurring theme in debates, conferences, and documentaries. Its ability to spark curiosity and questions about the universe is a reflection of our relentless search for answers. Pop culture not only perpetuated the Roswell case but also expanded it, adding layers of mythology and fantasy. Today, it is much more than a simple historical incident. It is a living legend that continues to inspire generations. When we talk about Roswell, it is impossible to ignore the conspiracy theories that have emerged over the years. Many of them go beyond the simple idea of a flying saucer crashing in New Mexico, entering unusual and even frightening territories. One of the most popular theories suggests that the U.S. government made a secret agreement with aliens after the incident. According to this version, the extraterrestrials would have offered advanced technology in exchange for permission to conduct experiments on Earth. This supposed agreement would be known as the Majestic 12 Agreement. According to apocryphal documents released in the 1980s, an elite group led by powerful figures, including presidents and renowned scientists, was created to manage interactions with extraterrestrial beings. Although the government vehemently denied the existence of this group, many believers argue that these denials are part of the cover-up. For them, the official silence is proof that something is being hidden. Another controversial theory involves Area 51, a highly secret military base in Nevada. It is said that debris recovered in Roswell was sent there, where scientists tried to replicate alien technology for military use. This idea gained strength with reports from former employees and leaks of classified information. Some claim that aircraft like the U-2 spy plane and the stealth bomber were developed based on alien technology recovered in 1947. Among the darkest theories is the suggestion that surviving alien bodies were captured and kept in secret laboratories. There are those who believe that these beings are still alive today, trapped in underground facilities. This narrative was reinforced by the famous alien autopsy video, released in 1995. Despite being widely discredited as a hoax, the video fueled the imagination of many, who began to speculate about scientific experiments with extraterrestrial life forms. Another controversial point is the connection between Roswell and paranormal phenomena. Some theories suggest that the incident was part of an interdimensional experiment or a portal to other worlds. These ideas are often associated with unexplained events that occurred in the region. There are also those who believe that the Roswell incident was staged by the government to distract the population from secret military projects. In this view, the debris was just parts of advanced weapon prototypes or planes, disguised as UFOs to avoid questioning. An even more extreme theory claims that Roswell was an event orchestrated by aliens to test human reaction. They would have deliberately dropped an object on our planet to observe how we would handle something unknown. These extreme narratives divide opinions. While some see in them plausible explanations for the mystery, others consider them absurd or too fanciful to be taken seriously. However, the appeal of these theories lies precisely in their ability to challenge common sense. They propose scenarios that defy conventional logic, stimulating our imagination and curiosity. Regardless of their veracity, these conspiracies reflect an important aspect of human nature: our tendency to seek patterns and meanings in mysterious events. The Roswell case is a perfect example of how an occurrence can transform into a tapestry of infinite possibilities. Since the beginning, the U.S. government has played a central role in the Roswell case. Its first contradictory statements fueled speculations that persist to this day. But how did the authorities react over the decades as public interest grew? The first official response came shortly after the incident, in July 1947. At the time, the U.S. Air Force announced having captured a flying saucer. However, a few hours later, this version was replaced by another. The debris was merely from a weather balloon used in Project Mogul. This quick change generated distrust. For many, it seemed unlikely that such a powerful organization as the American Army would commit such a mistake without a hidden intention. This episode marked the beginning of decades of distrust regarding official explanations. During the following decades, the government maintained a stance of silence or denial. Even with the increase in public interest in the 1980s and 1990s, little additional information was released. This led many to believe that something was being hidden. In the 1990s, the U.S. Congress finally pressured the Pentagon to investigate the case. In 1994, the official report, the Roswell Report, Case Closed, was published. It categorically stated that the debris found was part of a weather balloon from Project Mogul. The report detailed the purpose of Project Mogul: to monitor Soviet nuclear explosions using balloons equipped with sensitive microphones. Despite the technical explanation, it failed to completely dispel public doubts. A year later, in 1995, another report was released, this time focusing on rumors of alien bodies. Titled The Roswell Report: Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, it attributed these reports to secret military tests involving mannequins used in freefall simulations. According to the government, these mannequins were often confused with extraterrestrial bodies by local residents who witnessed the tests. However, this explanation was met with skepticism by many, especially by witnesses who insisted on the authenticity of their stories. Despite these efforts to close the case, the government continued to face questions. Documents declassified under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, revealed fragments of information that some interpreted as evidence of a cover-up. Among these documents, there were references to secret operations and incomplete records of activities at the Roswell base during the time of the incident. Although the government argued that these papers were not directly related to UFOs, they fueled conspiracy theories even further. In recent years, the Pentagon admitted to investigating unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, the modern term for UFOs. Programs like the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ADIP, brought new light to the debate, although they did not directly mention the Roswell case. These initiatives reinforced the idea that the government takes the study of unknown flying objects seriously. However, they also raised new questions. If so many resources are dedicated to this topic, why does the Roswell case remain surrounded by secrets? Another important point is the recent stance of some military and political figures. In testimonies to Congress and interviews, some former government employees suggested that events like Roswell might indeed involve extraterrestrial technology, but they are not ready to reveal everything yet. This ambiguity keeps the case alive in the public mind. For some, the government is finally beginning to open the doors to the truth. For others, these statements are just another layer of misinformation. The Roswell case transcended borders and became a source of global inspiration. Although it occurred in the United States, its impact reverberated around the world, sparking the interest of governments, scientists, and ordinary citizens in UFO sightings in their own territories. In the years following the incident, various countries began to register significant increases in the number of reports of unidentified flying objects. Many of these cases were directly compared to Roswell, especially when they involved the fall of objects or alleged physical evidence. In the UK, for example, the government decided to create files dedicated to investigating inexplicable aerial phenomena. Known as the UK Ministry of Defence UFO Files, these documents reveal hundreds of reports from military pilots, civilians, and even authorities about encounters with UFOs. One of the most famous cases outside the US is the Rendlesham Forest incident, which occurred in 1980 in England. Sometimes called the Roswell Case of Europe, it involved sightings of strange lights and metallic debris found in a forest near 2 American military bases. Just like in Roswell, the official explanations for the Rendlesham Forest incident varied between secret military activity and natural phenomena. However, witnesses insisted that something more unusual was involved, fueling parallels with the American case. In the Soviet Union, the topic of UFOs also gained space during the Cold War. Declassified reports show that the Soviet government carefully monitored any unusual sighting, fearing they might be Western technologies in disguise. One of the most notable events in the former USSR occurred in 1967, when thousands of people claimed to have seen a bright sphere hovering over the city of Tashkent, in present-day Uzbekistan. This phenomenon was extensively investigated but never officially explained. In Brazil, the Roswell case inspired a series of investigations conducted by the Brazilian Air Force, FAB. In 1986, the country recorded one of the largest mass UFO sightings, known as the Colatina Vitória case, where residents saw enormous luminous objects crossing the sky. The FAB released an extensive report on the event, concluding that the observed objects could not be attributed to planes, weather balloons, or natural phenomena. This reinforced the debate about possible extraterrestrial visits to Brazil. In Latin America, other countries like Mexico and Argentina also reported numerous UFO cases. In 1991, the case of Ariel Fausto, a young Argentine who claimed to have been abducted by aliens, gained international attention, being compared to Roswell stories. Moreover, many Latin American governments began to create official UFO investigation programs. In Mexico, recently disclosed documents show that the military and intelligence agencies actively monitored these phenomena since the 1960s. In Israel, the Roswell case served as inspiration for studying sightings reported by Air Force pilots. During the 1970s, several reports mentioned UFOs chasing military planes, raising concerns about national security. Even in China, where public discussions about UFOs were rare, intriguing reports emerged. In 1994, residents of Guizhou province claimed to have seen a metallic ship emerge from a forest after a mysterious explosion. These types of incidents echo elements of the Roswell case. Globally, The cultural impact of Roswell helped legitimize UFO studies as a serious field of research. Universities, independent institutes, and international organizations began investigating these phenomena, seeking scientific answers to ancient questions. Although the Roswell case began as a local mystery, it eventually became a source of inspiration for scientists and researchers seeking answers about the existence of life beyond Earth. Today, the impact of this incident can be seen in various areas of modern science. One of the main areas influenced by the case is astronomy. The renewed interest in UFOs led scientists to redouble their efforts in the search for habitable planets beyond our solar system. Projects like the James Webb Space Telescope are helping to identify worlds potentially capable of sustaining life. Moreover, programs like SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, gained momentum thanks to the fascination generated by stories like Roswell's. These efforts use powerful radio telescopes to listen for signals of alien communication, based on the idea that we are far from being alone in the universe. Astrobiology, an interdisciplinary field that combines biology, chemistry, and physics to study the possibility of extraterrestrial life, was also influenced by the case. Scientists are investigating extreme environments on Earth, such as deserts and deep oceans, to understand how life forms could survive on other planets. The Roswell case also contributed to the development of advanced technologies. During the Cold War, rumors that alien debris had been recovered led governments to invest in the research and development of new materials and propulsion systems. A notable example is the emergence of stealth aircraft, whose conception was partially inspired by theories that alien technology had been adapted for military use. Although these connections are speculative, they illustrate how the Roswell case fueled the imagination of engineers and scientists. Recently, the U.S. Department of Defense confirmed the existence of videos of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, captured by military pilots. These records rekindled the debate about UFOs and encouraged more rigorous studies to determine their origin. Among the most intriguing scientific theories is the hypothesis that some UAPs could be extraterrestrial probes sent to explore our planet. This idea was discussed by renowned physicists like Avi Loeb of Harvard University, who advocates for the serious investigation of these phenomena. Another interesting aspect is the impact of Roswell on space missions. Agencies like NASA and ESA, European Space Agency, have prioritized missions to Mars and icy moons like Europa and Enceladus, locations where there are indications of liquid water and conditions conducive to microbial life. Programs like the Mars rover Perseverance and the future JUICE Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer Orbiter are examples of how the search for extraterrestrial life is evolving. These projects are driven by the same curiosity that propelled investigations into Roswell decades ago. In the field of theoretical physics, the Roswell case also inspired debates about interstellar travel and unknown technologies. Some scientists suggest that advanced civilizations could use methods like warp space or wormhole energy to traverse vast cosmic distances. Moreover, the mystery of Roswell encouraged the creation of private institutes dedicated to UFO research. Organizations like the To the Stars Academy, co-founded by former military personnel and defense experts, work to analyze UAP evidence and promote government transparency. These initiatives demonstrate that the legacy of Roswell lives on in the form of scientific inquiries. Even after more than 70 years, the case serves as a reminder that there is still much to learn about the universe and our place in it. For many scientists, the true significance of Roswell is not just in its supposed connections with aliens, but rather in how it expanded our horizons. It challenged us to think beyond what we know and to seek answers to fundamental questions about existence. While many see the Roswell case as proof of extraterrestrial contact, there is an equally vocal group of skeptics who question this narrative. For them, the incident can be explained without resorting to the idea of alien visitors. One of the main criticisms from skeptics is the lack of concrete evidence. Despite numerous witnesses and accounts, no artifact or definitively alien material has been presented to the public. This raises doubts about the veracity of the stories told over the years. Moreover, skeptics point out that many of the accounts emerged decades after the incident, increasing the likelihood of memory distortions or even fabrications. The passage of time tends to amplify myths, transforming simple events into extraordinary narratives. Another frequent argument is that the debris found in Roswell can easily be attributed to terrestrial objects. Project Mogul, for example, involved weather balloons equipped with sensitive equipment, which could seem strange to those unfamiliar with their purpose. Proponents of this theory highlight that the materials used in Project Mogul were unusual for the time, such as thin aluminum sheets and lightweight metal tapes. These components could be mistaken for something alien by people without technical knowledge. The issue of alien bodies is also frequently contested. For skeptics, these reports can be explained by secret military tests conducted in the region. Mannequins used in freefall simulations, for example, could have been confused with extraterrestrial life forms. Another interpretation suggests that rumors of alien bodies were amplified by the media and local folklore. Stories about small corpses with large heads became part of pop culture but lack concrete evidence. In the field of psychology, some experts argue that the fascination with UFOs is deeply rooted in the human desire to find meaning in mysterious events. The Roswell case would simply be a reflection of this collective longing for answers. Additionally, skeptics highlight that the historical context of 1947 influenced how the incident was perceived. During the Cold War, anything out of the ordinary was quickly associated with conspiracies or external threats, exacerbating speculation. The official stance of the American government is also subject to critical analysis. Although official reports declared that the debris was from a weather balloon, skeptics suggest that the initial ambiguity was intentional to divert attention from secret military activities. This view is reinforced by the fact that the U.S. Air Force was conducting various secret projects at the time, including weapons and experimental aircraft tests. Some of these prototypes could have been mistaken for UFOs, especially by local residents. An important point raised by skeptics is the absence of conclusive documentation. If there really was a government cover-up, they ask, why hasn't any substantial evidence come to light after so many decades? Documents declassified under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, revealed nothing beyond plausible explanations. Another relevant criticism is the popularization of the Roswell case by the entertainment industry. Movies, series, and books often exaggerate or distort facts to create more attractive narratives, contributing to the perpetuation of myths. Despite these criticisms, it is important to recognize that skepticism plays a crucial role in the debate. It encourages us to seek solid evidence and question assumptions, ensuring that human curiosity is guided by both imagination and reason. We have reached the end of this fascinating journey through the mystery of Roswell, but that does not mean our search for answers should end here. On the contrary, the Roswell case teaches us something much greater: the importance of questioning, exploring, and seeking the unknown. Over the last 9 sessions, we delved into witness accounts, scientific investigations, conspiracy theories, and skeptical explanations. Each perspective brought its own contribution to better understanding this historical event. Regardless of which side you choose to believe, whether aliens really visited our planet or everything can be explained by terrestrial technology, the true value lies in the curiosity that the case sparks. It challenges us to think beyond what we know and to imagine greater possibilities. The Roswell case also teaches us something about human nature. Our desire to find meaning in mysterious events is an intrinsic characteristic. We are naturally inclined to seek patterns and connections, even when they are not obvious. But this curiosity needs to be balanced with critical thinking. As skeptics remind us, we must always seek concrete evidence before accepting any explanation. However, this does not mean abandoning imagination. It means using it responsibly. So, how can we apply these lessons in our own lives? First, encourage yourself to ask more questions. Whether it's about science, history, or your daily life, never underestimate the power of asking questions and seeking answers. Second, stay open to new ideas but also remain critical. When you hear an intriguing theory or story, research, analyze different perspectives, and form your own opinion based on facts. Third, actively engage in exploring the unknown. How about starting to follow NASA space missions or reading about recent discoveries in astrobiology? These fields are evolving rapidly and offer incredible opportunities to learn something new. Additionally, Consider visiting iconic places like the International UFO Museum in Roswell or participating in conferences about unidentified aerial phenomena. These experiences can broaden your worldview and connect you to a passionate community of mysteries. For those who enjoy creating content, how about producing your own videos or articles on topics related to Roswell? You can share your interpretations, interview experts, or even investigate local UFO sighting cases. Don't forget that the Roswell case is also an excellent source of inspiration for creativity. How about writing a science fiction story or developing an artistic project based on the mystery? Your imagination can transform this enigma into something unique. Finally, remember that the universe still holds countless secrets. Although the Roswell case remains a mystery, it motivates us to look at the stars with renewed curiosity and ask ourselves, are we really alone? Now it's your turn to act. Share this video with friends and family who are also interested in mysteries and science. Leave your comments below with your theories or questions about the Roswell case. We want to know what you think. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next videos. We will be exploring other fascinating mysteries, from urban legends to scientific advances that promise to change the future. And then, what will you do with what you learned today? Keep seeking answers, questioning the world around you, and above all, never stop dreaming. Who knows, maybe one day we will finally discover the truth about what happened in Roswell in 1947. Until then, keep exploring because the universe is full of possibilities.